I'm Steve Hicks. I'm the Associate Director for Education for the Energy Initiative. And one of my hats is the Basque Connections and Energy Administrator. So I am responsible for being the administrator for the Basque Connections and Energy theme. I see there's some people here that are in Basque Connections courses, so I hope you have some good questions. What I'm going to try to do in 10 minutes or less is introduce you to Basque Connections and Energy as a program where you can study energy here at Duke. And if I'm successful, you should be able to answer a few basic questions from anyone about Basque Connections. First of all, I'm going to hand out some. What you have here are project descriptions for this year's projects in Basque Connections and Energy. Last year there were different projects, and next year there will be even a new set where we have requests for proposals going out for those now. But let me give you a little background and a little context for Basque Connections and Energy. A few years ago, Duke attempted to create a strategic plan. It affirmed its commitment to interdisciplinary education, research, and practice. And in doing so, it made this, they created the Making a Difference strategic plan, and engagement with society and service to society were key themes. And this came out of this, that particular plan in terms of creating a place for collaborative inquiry and an opportunity to have groups and teams in the future. What that led to, fast forward a few years, approximately 3 years ago, the Bass family out of Texas gave several dollars, in the millions of dollars, to help Duke launch an innovative curriculum. And that curriculum became known as Basque Connections. And a group of faculty members got together to conceive of what that could look like. It has evolved to 5 themes, of which energy is one. You can see the other themes here. And you can see the icons for each. And you can notice that you can go to the website and actually see every project that we've had each year for Basque Connections. And the purpose was to really kind of create an opportunity to address societal challenges, to pull people together at all levels, and make an impact on something outside of the university, and to engage in teamwork by applying knowledge. This gives you a sense of where we've been. It doesn't give you a sense of where we're going this year. I know in energy we have 80 students and 8 teams. I can't tell you about across the university, but we started in the first year with 37 teams. We increased in the second year. And so it's starting to catch on as an innovation. And I would say it's one of the more innovative and ambitious curriculum innovations in higher education. You will see something like this in a school, but probably not across a university in the United States. Okay, implementing Basque Connections. What is it? If you're familiar with the parable of the 5 blind men, anyone? Familiar? Okay, rings a bell? The 5 blind men, each reaching for one part of the elephant, not being able to see it, think it's a different thing. It may be a tree, it may be a snake, it may be a rope, depending upon which part you grab a hold of and experience first. Basque Connections is a little bit like that because there are several moving parts. And you may fail to see the whole of Basque Connections and the opportunity if you just grab onto one piece. So keep that in mind. And let me give you the way I'd like to describe it, and hopefully you can describe it as well, and this can help you think about whether or not you want to engage in a Basque Connections independent study. It is a co-laboratory where people collaborate, thinking about the Latin form of that word. We co-labor together. And then it's also a laboratory where people can work together to experiment. The important part about Basque Connections is that it's problem-centered. It's a group of people working around a specific research-related problem, and a group of people that are at multiple levels: undergraduates, graduates, postdocs, and faculty. If you think about it, a vertical team that's also interdisciplinary. It may represent people from all schools and different disciplines. So hopefully the different perspectives and the synergies of the team can bring new thinking to the problem. Faculty take on new roles and maybe different roles as guides in the research process, maybe not directors of that particular process. So it's a new way of interacting with faculty, and actions are taken. Research is undertaken, and you have the opportunity to impact something outside the university. Okay, I'd like to give you a quote by a relatively noteworthy person. Significant problems of today cannot be solved at the same level of thinking at which they were created. Okay, vast connections through a process of using teams, through a process of having knowledge and content, plus questions and research questions, can help us address higher levels of thinking to address more complex problems. The solution, yesterday's solutions are today's problems in energy. And so this particular quote, I think, captures how we can think about vast connections as helping us achieve new levels of thinking against the complex problems of energy today. These are opportunities that I see for students. One, to apply your coursework. Apply what you're learning to a problem. So it's essentially an opportunity to also to be involved in research, applied research, in an early time in your particular academic career, or even late if you're a postdoc. An opportunity to build your team working skills. Many of you know that most organizations today operate in groups and teams. And so building those teams, being able to work effectively with teams, being able to lead teams effectively is going to be an important skill for you to take away. We've had several alums of Vast Connections teams say that it was helpful in the interview process. So it's an opportunity to have an experience that you can talk about in the interview process. And it's an opportunity to be mentored in research and problem solving by faculty members. I'll let you read a few of these. We did an evaluation. You about some of the challenges. Vast Connections in Energy in particular, thank you. Vast Connections in Energy in particular lasts 2 semesters. So the course of a year, so the time commitment is significant. Okay? And over the course, the group, your team struggles with that complex problem. It's not always a linear, straight line solution to an answer or an attempt at an intervention. So what you see here is a group. Actually, I like to use the analogy of whitewater rafting. You have a group of guides, your faculty leaders, and you have some skills to work together and you have some tools, but you don't know what's around each corner when you scale and scope a problem somewhat differently. So the activity may have peaks and valleys depending upon the turns that you take towards solutions. So this is an actual team map of their interactions, the Data Plus team, and where they saw high interaction in terms of working together. So some of that is time, and some of that is marked on there as significant turning points or events where they found something, or they discovered something, or they had an opportunity to use another tool. So that it comes with a warning. This is a list of projects from last year and this year. The group on the right is this year's projects, and we see we added one in the last few weeks. This gives you an idea of some of the diversity and the types of problems. Remember, Basque Connections is problem-centered learning. So these are the problems, and the specific descriptions you have for the ones on the right are in your hand. If you have any particular questions about those, certainly come see us. And to give you a better sense, I thought what we would do is introduce you to one case example. The one case example is going to be represented by two people, so I'm going to have to turn the microphone over and hopefully not drop my battery. But I'd like to introduce Charles Adair, who is with the Duke Carbon Offsets Initiative at Duke University. And he is a team leader for a project last year as well as a project this year. And also Daniel Ketyer, who was on a Basque Connections project last year, and he is also with one this year, which he may address. And Daniel is also the president of the Undergraduate Energy Club. Thank you, guys.
All right. Can you hear me? Great. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? You're still awake?
Yeah.
All right. So what do most of your classes look like today? Kind of like this, right? Right? And so you go and you sit in a class and you listen to someone lecture, and they've determined the curriculum and they're telling you what you need to know, correct? If you're lucky, you have some discussion-based classes, and in those classes maybe you get a little bit more interaction and you get to chat on a smaller scale and get to ask some questions. So still the curriculum to a certain extent is driven by the faculty, and that's a good thing. And this is very traditional in what we've all had, right? Now imagine if, and some of you have this already with Basque Connections, if you're sitting in a small room with a few faculty and you're the ones who are asked, what do you want to learn, how do we address this problem, etc. What would you do? It's completely different, right? And Daniel's sitting here nodding his head because we went through this same thing last year, and it was very challenging. It was challenging not just for the students, it was challenging for us, the team leads. And figuring out how to operate in this kind of new environment was both challenging but very rewarding. And so I want to talk a little bit about the program, the project we did last year. And so my name's Charles Adair. I'm the program manager for the Duke Carbon Offsets Initiative. We're part of Sustainable Duke, and we're tasked with creating projects that help reduce greenhouse gas emissions off campus. And so we actually have a lot of flexibility as to project type. So we have a swine waste to energy system in North Carolina. We're looking at urban forestry here in Durham. We have an employee energy efficiency program that we're running currently. It's a small pilot that we're learning a lot from every day. And so we have that flexibility, and all of these problems and all of these projects are very, very interdisciplinary. And so when I learned about Basque Connections, it was a perfect opportunity, right? So now, we could go out and we could recruit a team of people from all different disciplines to tackle one challenge. And so what we ended up looking at is we thought that solar, because of the price in solar has come down drastically. And we wanted to see if there was a way to really make solar available to employees Duke has a lot of employees, 36,000 employees. So you're talking an enormous group of people in a great community that could have a huge impact. And so what we did, you can see here, we went out and we got team leaders from different areas along campus. We had a number of students, all from different backgrounds, and we had grad students and undergraduates. And so this project ended up being really challenging because we had to look at the econ and the policy, the legal side, educational side. I forgot to put technology on here. We looked at technology too. And what we were trying to figure out is there a way to help employees do residential solar, rooftop solar, and to encourage them to do so, and then we can track emission reductions and the other co-benefits from that project. And so I can tell you from the beginning, it was a huge challenge. We all kind of sat around the table going, what do we do first? And also, I can tell you, and this is happening this year too, the students looked at us and said, all right, what should we do? What do I need to turn in? What are you grading me on? What's next? And to shift from that to, all right, guys, let's think about this together. What are the questions we need to answer? What's our goal? How do we backtrack from there and piece this picture together? And so we did that. It took us almost a whole semester just to get our bearings. I mean, a whole semester kind of just floundering, going, all right, let's answer this question. Let's answer this question. What does that mean? And we ended up hitting a point in the semester, towards the very end of the semester, where we realized that the tax credits in North Carolina for solar were at risk of going away. And we just learned very recently that they are going away. At that time, we said, all right, because of that risk, we need to act now. And so really, the students put together an awesome program that I will let Daniel talk about to address that.
So as Charles was saying, at the beginning of the year, we really didn't know what to expect. This is actually one of our info sessions in April at the end of the entire semester. At the beginning, we thought, OK, we're going to do some research, see if solar is a good idea. After that, we'll design this theoretical program that we can put into place. And then, yeah, like Charles was saying, December, January, we said, let's take this program that we're thinking about in theory and actually implement it and contact solar installers in the area and contact administrators at Duke who can help us implement the program, and contact other experts around the university and around the area that had some sort of interest in a residential solar program. So by the end of the semester, by the end of April, we had put on 3 of these info sessions. We called the program Solarize Duke. We worked with 2 of the major solar installers, so Southern Energy Management and Yes Solar Solutions, as well as Rob Pinder, who he's like a community climate activist who has run a number of these programs in Chapel Hill and Carborough across the area. So he was really interested in helping us manage the logistics of running an event and carrying out a program over the course of the current year. And we just found out that we've had 29 Duke employees sign contracts to put solar panels on their homes. And if you would have asked me in August, or September this time last year, if that would be a possibility, I would have said absolutely not. So, it's really cool to know that we actually made an impact, and it was something. 29 people have solar panel on their homes because of what we did. So. That's really cool, and that's something you can talk about to your friends or in interviews, things like that. So, yeah, that's our program.